Anywho,
Anyway, let me get a bowl here and maybe we'll do an intro. And then we'll talk about something. I don't know what, but we'll talk about something.
I have two things I want to talk about.
Oh, you freaking rock. All right.
One of them is a current news story, and then one of them is a story of a similar nature.
Okay. Awesome. You are so prepared. I love it. All right. Okay. Hold on.
Zen.
Right. I need some Zen. Like I seriously do, more than I need weed at the moment. I could really use a hefty dose of Zen.
It's witchcraft.
Hey, it's 4:20 a.m. Hi, and welcome to the Stoned Witches Hour. On this show, we tell spooky, truish tales of ghoulish happenings, haunted hotels, and paranormal events.
While getting fucked up.
While getting seriously high on some of the country's finest cannabis. I'm Layla, representing all things spooky on the West Coast.
And as usual, I'm High, and I'm Chelle. And I'm on the East Coast. Where am I? Yeah, East Coast, by the water. There. Yeah.
Hey, I'm by the water too. That's not necessarily a good marker, Chelle.
Well, that's true. But I think your water's warmer. Why is the water warmer on the West Coast than the East Coast? I just don't get it. I don't.
It's the best coast.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's definitely not the spookiest coast. Might be the warmest.
Might be. So on this episode 22 of the Stoned Witches Hour, I'm actually going to be talking about a haunted hotel and a quack cure for cancer by a gentleman named Norman Baker, who was really a big time charlatan and thought that the American Medical Association was out to get him. And I guess they kind of were, because he was selling bullshit as a cancer cure. But above and beyond that, he thought they wanted to assassinate him.
Well, I'm going a different route today. I'm going to talk about some cryptids in Connecticut.
Ooh, always love when you're looking at cryptids. I'm going, the haunted hotel due to some shady history. And you've got us some cryptids in Connecticut.
Spooky things, people, animals. I don't even know what they are, but we're going cryptid in Connecticut today.
Is this another like soul stealing, I'm going to kill you and torment your soul forever type of cryptid? Or is this like a nice fuzzy, I just stink and tap on trees cryptid like a Sasquatch?
I'm going to kill you.
Oh, what? Oh, okay. We're going the bad route again. All right.
Yeah, we're going the bad route again.
Deadly cryptids. Love it.
But what led me to that is going to be a different story. But I want to talk about weed first, and then we're going to talk about what led my stoned brain to this cryptid story.
Weed.
What are you smoking today? Like, first of all, let's just put this out there. 2 episodes in a row, we were not together. I was away and you had a special guest, and then you were away and I had a special guest. So like, here we are back together. It's like bringing the band back together. Hey, Layla.
Hi, Chelle. How have you been?
I have been good. I've missed you.
I have missed you too. Life has been pretty crazy lately.
We've actually both had a lot going on. So it just kind of worked out somehow that it was like back-to-back episodes. But we're back. So people, we're back. Chelle and Layla.
It's I love us. It's the Chelle and Layla show. I am back in my nomadic ways and doing a lot of traveling this summer, but it should not interrupt our recording schedule or our hang out and tell each other spooky tales schedule. And it certainly hasn't interrupted my getting high schedule.
Nothing interrupts that. No.
There's really not a lot that interrupts that. That is true.
It's getting to be kind of beachy weather up here in Massachusetts. So I actually today gathered my beach bag stuff together.
Ooh.
That we're supposed to have some 90-degree days in a few days. So I will be heading to the beach. Yay. Well, hot.
Now in Massachusetts, can you smoke on the beach?
People do. I mean, I haven't like technically looked into the laws, but people do.
So I know that in some states, if you can smoke cigarettes somewhere, you can smoke cannabis in the same places. I think Massachusetts might be one of those places. I'm pretty sure New York is one of those places. California, you're not allowed to smoke pretty much anything anywhere. So there's no smoking of any substance on the beaches in California.
It's kind of funny because you would think that I would old enough to know better, but don't. I don't really pay attention to the laws and just kind of live my life. And I'm not saying that anybody should do that.
Well,
But
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, if you go to the beach and you're staying away from some kids or whatever, if you're off by yourself on the beach, there's nothing like having a bowl or a joint. What's your favorite beach or hike go to? Is it the silicone pipe that you just recently got, or
I love that silicone pipe, and I'm still rocking that damn thing.
it's so
But
cute. But
you know,
typically,
if
what's your beachy go to for cannabis?
probably with a beachy go-to thing would be a chillum, just because it's small, it's discreet. You're not just sitting there like blazing glory on the beach.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. I usually like a joint, but again, that's kind of like the constantly, it's got the smoke going constantly. So that smell is
right,
around you a lot. And if you're
right.
trying to be discreet, keep it on the down low a little bit, a chillum is perfect. It's that perfect
Yeah,
size.
because
Hold it in your hand. Nobody's going to see it. It's just puff and pass. It's nice.
actually, what you see a lot of around here, especially on the streets and on the beach, and pretty much anywhere in public, I've seen it in damn Target, for God's sakes. People vaping weed in their vape pens, just any old where, any old where.
Vape is definitely my go-to for being discreet. I mean, it doesn't smell like anything. So yeah, definitely vapes are nice for that.
For me personally, though, the vapes after a while tend to make my lungs fill with fluid, and then I get this whole like lung chest issue thing. I'm not a fan of vapes. Just give me the damn weed. We've talked about this. Just give me the damn weed, stuff it in a pipe as hard as you can with your thumb, and just go.
You're not the first person I've heard say that. I do have one of my brothers says the same thing about vapes. He's not a fan.
Yeah.
He doesn't like how it makes him feel. So he kind of stays away from them a little bit.
I get a very deep, lingering, wet cough. Just not a fan of vapes. Just not. I am sure there are people out there that vape their lives away. God bless you. Just not my thing. Not my thing.
I do really love dabs. I like dabs in all forms more so than vapes.
We'll have to get together and test that theory.
We most definitely will. I know that some of my travels this summer will take me out your way. There's some festivals out that way. And so we will be together and recording together at least once, if not multiple times this summer.
That's
for sure.
because the East Coast is the best coast, and all you want to do with all your vacation time is come back to the East Coast. Obviously.
Hey, there's something to be said for going back to familiar stomping grounds, for going back to the places that you know and love and where all your friends and family are. So, yeah, I have to say I'm going to be doing a little bit of visiting. I'm looking forward to it.
So today, this is something I've never smoked before.
What you smoking, Chelle?
I am smoking this stuff called Endgame.
Oh, I like
Wow.
that name. How fun. What's Endgame? Do you know any of its parentage?
I don't know shit. I don't know shit. I just know it's got me really high right now. So I went to Happy Valley. Love Happy Valley.
One of your
Great
favorite
shop.
places. Shout
Great
out to
shop.
Happy Valley.
Yep, in Gloucester.
They still have the
Awesome place.
key to happiness.
They do. They
Nice,
do. They
nice.
do. And it is the key to happiness, no lie. So I go in there and I'm talking to the girl because, as we've said in the past, these people are very chatty, very knowledgeable, and very willing to talk your ear off about weed. And so, me, what do you got that's good? And she's like, well, she goes, the growers out back seem to keep smoking this new crop, but they're not talking much, but that's all they're buying. She goes, so I started smoking it and it's really good. And I'm like, really? Well, give me a bunch of that then.
Whatever that is, I want some.
No joke. Good stuff. I didn't ask any questions. I just got it. But it's like 30.4 THC. But I feel like it's got to be a hybrid, if I'm guessing, because you can manipulate the high. If you want it to be an uppity, energetic high, it can be. And if you want it to be a lazy high, it can be. See what I'm saying?
I hear
So
you. I hear you.
you can kind of use it either way. You can use it to mellow yourself out or to get shit done.
Very versatile high. Definitely something I go for sure.
But rule number one, if the growers are smoking it, go for it.
Yes, always go for the grower's stash. I highly recommend it.
And it's a little dense and a little sticky. It's kind of one of those borderline better off if you grind it up and not just chunk a big damn bud in your pipe, which I love to do.
I know you do.
This is definitely stuff that you really should take a minute and grind up, which I actually did.
There is something to be said for how you pack a bowl, or, the different types of weed have different smokability, I guess. Some are definitely stuff them, shove them right into that bowl and smoke them as is. And
This is it.
some aren't. I'm still smoking the Bacchio gelato. I'm kind of in a rut and I can't help it. I love this weed so much. It is my current favorite. I love the flavor. I love the high. It gets me stoned as fuck. It's pretty. And I love a pretty weed. It's it's crystally, it's purpley. Oh my goodness. I can't stop smoking it. And yeah, so I'm stuck on the Bacchio gelato for a little while.
Anytime I try to think of that, for some reason, I think of calling it baklava gelato.
Hey, that's how I'm packing it. Hey, Lisa Ann.
Lisa Ann, she did such a good job filling in for me, by the way. Shout out to her.
Shout out to her. And shout out to your son doing an excellent job. Oh my gosh, you guys are so cute together. I love it. We definitely have really great friends. We have fans. Oh my gosh. While we were on hiatus, we got an email. Let me see if I can pull it up for you, Chelle.
We have a fan again?
We do, a whole one fan.
Oh my God.
Okay, there's more than that. But this particular one fan wrote us and they have a tip for us. I can't remember if it's on your side of the country or mine. So we'll both be surprised. I'll be surprised all over again. All right, here we go. Let's see. They say this is from Kay.
Hey, Kay.
First, I love your podcast and have been binging for a few days. I was originally going to catch up, but I'm to episode 14 and I just had to send you two some love. You two are super entertaining and I love your stoner antics. I'm a 31-year-old married, 420 anniversary. Hey, happy belated anniversary, mom, and you guys just speak to me. I'm from Michigan and I know you two are West Coast, East Coast, but Chelle, I know you represent Midwest. You have got to research State Hospital in Traverse City, Michigan.
Hold on, I'm writing this down because we are going to give Kay her story here in the next couple of weeks. So let me write this down. Okay. All right, Kay, I am going to look into this and we are actually we're going to do this. And You know why? Because you asked me to. That's why. So just give me a couple of weeks. Give me a couple of weeks, Kay, and we are going to talk about this place.
Listen to this. Kay says it closed down in 83, I think, but had a new hospital built next door. The old hospital remained empty of business, but full of spirits. And us young kids being absolutely insane, we used to walk through them. I only went once, heard a door open on its own and left. It was enough, but there's a list of documentation on how active it was. But it has been redone in the last 10 or so years to be a goddamn apartment complex and stores.
They did that here too.
I can't remember who, but someone on my Facebook years ago made a post about how haunted the apartments are and how her family moved out. Y'all, they redid an asylum and its rooms into apartments. It's a fun dive if you find yourself time. Also look up the Happy Tree, which is on the property. It used to be a party spot for teenagers. Oh yes, me included. But we always hear voices and party with strangers that would show up. There was always a rumor of ghosts coming to parties sometimes. I don't know if it was just my group of friends, but we always light up a joint in hopes he would show. Thanks for reading. I hope you two have an amazing day. At some point, I'm going to write about the time I made a Ouija board with someone and we got a free ghost roommate. Thank you and much love from Kay.
All right, Kay.
Fuck around and find out, Kay. I bet they didn't pay rent either.
Kay, you've listened to up to 14 episodes. Come on. We've talked about fuck around and find out. Do not touch Ouija boards.
Chelle's first rule.
Kay.
First rule of Chelle. Do not bring a Ouija board to a haunted location. Just don't.
No.
But if you do, and you get a free roommate, do write us about it.
You're going to fuck around and find out. Yeah. So, Kay, give me a couple weeks and I am going to look into the state hospital in Traverse City, Michigan, and we are going to give it a go.
I'm kind of jealous. You've had 2 people suggest things for you, and I have had not a one yet. So if you're out there, West Coasters, come on, tell me something you want me to
You know why?
look into. Why?
The West Coast sucks. That's why it's not as haunted and it's not as cool. And all the coolest hauntings come from the East Coast. That's why people have East Coast places.
Oh, that is so not true. There's so much history and so much cool stuff out here. You're just biased, Chelle. I'll get some people. It's all right. That's fine. It's okay. I'll just be lonely here on the West Coast with no stories.
Now, I want to talk about what led me to want to do the story this week about the cryptid.
Oh yeah, what drew you to this story, Chelle?
It's kind of technically from your side of the country.
Hey, are you poaching something from me?
I'm not poaching a story. I'm poaching a current news story that led me to the story about Connecticut.
Okay, so something on the best coast led you to a cool story on the boring East Coast. All right, I'm following.
Fine. This one time, okay. So I don't know if you keep up with the news. I don't know if our listeners keep up with the news, but I don't watch the news because it's very depressing and it's really not good for your mental health. But I do read dailymail.com. And this is like a combination of like celebrity news, regular news, and kind of offbeat news. I come across this story. The story was dated June 9th, 2022. So like we're talking this month, not like 100 years ago, like this month. Let me read to you the title of the news article. Is it Chupacabra, a skinwalker? Texas city officials are stumped as they try to identify strange human-like animal seen on surveillance footage outside its zoo.
Okay. No. All right. So it's a good thing you warned me that this West Coast story was what inspired you, because Chupacabra and Texas are mine. That's my territory.
You're right. But something is going on in Texas right now, and it's in the news right now. So this was from Amarillo. So there's a zoo in Amarillo. It's probably cool, by the way. The zoo in Amarillo caught this thing on its like night video surveillance. So the article, this is so funny because this is actually like a credible news site.
And they think they may have seen a Chupacabra in Amarillo, Texas.
The first line of the article says, "Lock your doors at night. A Chupacabra may be on the loose."
No shit.
So,
wow.
So actually, Amarillo, Texas city officials have been stumped by this human-like animal seen on zoo surveillance footage, and they actually took to social media in their search for answers. Yeah, like right now, it's kind of considered an unidentified Amarillo object, is what they're kind of calling it. Like they're bringing some kind of humor a little bit to it, but I've seen the video and you're like, what the hell is that? Amarillo residents kind of are weighing in a little bit that they think it could be a skinwalker, which is a Native American mythological shape-shifting creature.
I'll find the video and put a link to it in the show notes.
Absolutely. Now in the video, like, because obviously they've been able to capture like still footage of it as well. It almost kind of looks like, I don't want to say this because it'll sound dumb, but it kind of looks like it could be like a werewolf. Like, I'm not kidding.
Some people think it looks like a werewolf.
No, I do personally.
Oh, you do?
Me personally.
Well, I guess that's what a skinwalker and a Chupacabra look like anyway. So
kinda.
Shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Some people have even put on Twitter that it's clearly a skinwalker phasing between two densities / dimensions.
Clearly, it's clearly that. Like they have seen it, obviously.
It's crazy. But the Amarillo's Parks and Recreation department director told Newsweek that the zoo found the startling image while casually reviewing recent footage with staffers and reported the creature never got inside the zoo. It was on their surveillance, but it wasn't technically within like the confines of the zoo. It said the creature was walking near the park, which is located inside Thompson Park, early in the morning at around 1:25 a.m. The guy, like the actual zoo director, told Newsweek that he thought it was kind of an anomaly and a unique picture, and he thinks it's exciting and interesting to have something like that at a zoo. Great reaction, buddy.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that certainly sounds like something out of. I just saw some pictures online after trying to look up what you had mentioned, and that's weird, just kind of unexplainable. I don't know what that is.
I mean, some people actually, some websites have described it as a wolf-like human creature. Again, Chupacabra. News 18 in Texas called it a mysterious alien creature caught on camera. I don't know, call it what you want, but with my personal eyeballs, I think it kind of looks like a werewolf.
Wow.
Not that I've seen one in person. It kind of looked like it had that doggy kind of head and then weird legs. I don't know, like human legs. You know how, you know how the goat legs, like that, but standing up like a person, but with a dog head. I don't know. Look at the video, people.
Part goat, part dog, part man. Well, sounds like a chupacabra.
So there we are. This is current news and events. There's some shit going on in Texas, people. I mean, the cryptids, they're out, they're about. Spring has sprung. Chupacabras have sprung. They're here. And they're in Texas right now. Wolf-like, dog-like, chupacabra-like creature in Texas.
That is just really strange. And
I know we have listeners in Texas because I remember we've talked about that before. So if any of you people in Texas know what the hell is going on outside the Amarillo Zoo, let us know because I really need to know.
is it something the zoo released to try and get publicity or something? Did they make some sort of hybrid creature and put it out there just to go viral?
Who knows? But like the weird thing is that it was like right outside the zoo. Like, was it looking to like eat something or
Was it trying to bust out a relative?
yeah, right.
Maybe they've got something in the zoos it wants out. How creepy. Interesting.
Because that cryptid was in the news lately, I was like, ooh, let me check out another cryptid in the Northeast.
So what did that lead you to? I'm curious now.
Now, I came across this a while ago and I was like, what the hell? In Connecticut, there are what are called, don't laugh, by the way.
Oh, great. Now I'm already primed. Now I have no. Okay, fine. What is it?
They're called melon heads. Yeah, they're called melon heads.
Like lemon heads, like the band. It's a shame about Ray. I mean, come on.
Yeah, so melon heads.
Melon heads. It's funny.
And they're not just necessarily confined to Connecticut.
Okay, so I'm guessing that it's descriptive. Melon head must be, they have big heads.
Some people think that they kind of resemble the little gray men.
Ooh, aliens. So it might be a cryptid alien. Ooh, a cryptid alien. Okay.
Because they basically have like those bulbous heads. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Are they gray too?
No, they're not.
No, they just have big heads. And they, other than that, do they look humanoid?
Pretty much. And they're, like I said, they're not just found in Connecticut, apparently. They're also in Michigan and Ohio, which is weird because it's not even like they're in a relatively close proximity. So Michigan, Ohio, Connecticut, but obviously I'm going to talk about Connecticut today.
Okay.
Now, as you can imagine, every New England town can pretty much claim a ghost, or many have a witch in their past, you know, the ghosts and the witches. So it's damn Ouija boards. It's Kay's fault.
All in the Northeast. Yeah, they tend to do that a lot there.
But the melon heads are only in a handful of places in southwestern Connecticut. And they kind of, as you can imagine, live on the outskirts of town on heavily wooded country roads, generally known as melon head roads.
a common thing to see them on these roads. They actually call the roads melon head roads.
I guess. I mean, they look like small humanoids with oversized heads, and they rarely come out of hiding, like most cryptoids, like Bigfoot.
They love their hiding. But most of these cryptids really are sneaky. They're super, super sneaky and hidey.
They survive by eating small animals, stray cats, and then check this shit out. Human flesh.
Now, ew. So they eat kitty cats and humans? Sound like bad guys.
And there has been cases of runaway teens and hikers that have disappeared. And literally the townspeople explained it away as the melon heads got them.
Oh my goodness. Ew, ate them.
How do you go knock on a parent's door and be like, meh, the melon heads got them. Sorry, don't know what to tell you.
Maybe somebody is telling people your hitchhiking missing son got eaten by a melon head.
And we thought we were smoking the good weed.
They're smoking something. They finding gnawed bones? Are they just finding nothing and being like, oh, nothing, must be melon head, case closed?
Apparently.
Or are they finding
They're not
soup bones?
They're not.
They're not finding a thing.
Not really.
All right, well.
So the stories about these deformed country people who keep to themselves go back, centuries to Europe. You're not too far off. For example, a large family of melon heads supposedly lived in Bavaria, Germany, in the mid-19th century. And of course, do not laugh at this because I'm totally being
You keep
serious.
saying that and it's like priming me to laugh. Fine, I will try again. Take two.
An inbred family of melon heads known as weeble heads.
Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
Were said to live outside of...
Were these named by Gen Xers who were just missing their childhood or something?
No, because the weeble heads lived outside Risbury, England around 1900, and us Gen Xers weren't around then.
Oh, that's true. Weeble heads.
Yeah. That's the inbred family of
That's
melon.
the inbred version of melon. Oh, boy.
Now, according to another theory, the term melon head may stem from a Melanesian, which describes mixed race people in Appalachia that have ancestry of European outcasts, freed slaves, and Native Americans. And these folks also kept to themselves.
So maybe it was more of a, hey, we're jerks and there's these people over here that we don't like. So we're going to give them a weird name. And so it could be just a racist thing, not necessarily a supernatural thing, or at least the origins of it.
The origins of the people, yeah. And then, you inbred enough and you get big heads. I don't know. So the melon head stories started to surface in Connecticut after World War II, kind of when people moved more away from the cities and into the suburbs. It was kind of they were trying to get away from that prejudice of the isolated rural folk. So people started moving out into rural areas and started coming across these people. One theory claims they came from a family accused of witchcraft and banished into the wilderness where they survived and were inbred. Now, why do you got to accuse every goddamn person of witchcraft?
Every time they see something different, it's witchcraft. Oh, you're a witch.
It's witchcraft.
Your hair's the wrong color. Your eyes the wrong color. Your skin's the wrong color. It's witchcraft.
You like cats? You're a witch. But they're saying through centuries of inbreeding that they kind of mutated into melon heads, which honestly is a totally reasonable conclusion. Listen to some of the other theories. Another theory states that the melon heads escaped from the Fairfield Hills Hospital, which is now an abandoned mental institution, or that they were escapees from the Garner Correctional Institute, which specialized in inmates with mental health problems. Now, what happened at the Correctional Institute was that the place went ablaze and burnt to the ground, and everybody died. All of the all the corrections officers died, and most of the inmates died. But there was a handful of maybe a dozen inmates that they never found their bodies and could never find them.
Oh, no.
They think that they could have disappeared into the woods and started this wood society, wood people society.
Maybe they escaped and were unaccounted for and no one
Correct.
ever looked for them and they just kind of went off and started their own little families
Correct.
and their own little town.
Correct. And this is outside of Newton, Connecticut. But yeah, so again, this was in the 1960s when the building burned, 1960s when that building burned. And they said that when those supposed inmates potentially escaped, that they probably turned to cannibalism, which could be another cause of their heads to swell.
Oh, maybe that was the start of the rumors is they didn't have enough food and they were already had mental health issues or
Correct.
were criminally insane.
Correct.
And so they started eating each other.
Correct.
Ew.
So not only were they cannibals potentially, but also inbred.
Wow, this place just is getting creepier and creepier. And it sounds like it might be a real thing. This is starting to sound like it might have its roots in something for real.
And there's also another theory that there was, because remember I said that one of the theories was that they were people that escaped from Fairfield Hills Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
One of the theories is that an evil Dr. Crow supposedly conducted experiments on orphans.
Oh no.
And that the children escaped, burned down the orphanage and retreated into the woods and created like a woodsy society.
So kind of like a Lord of the Flies kind of situation. Why is there always an evil doctor? Why does there have to be an evil doctor? At least in that situation, the kids, rescued themselves and ran off, but then went all Lord of the Flies and cannibalism.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Now, supposedly back in the 80s, a group of girls after a Friday night football game decided to jump in the car and look for melon heads.
Uh-oh. I'm guessing this didn't end well.
This sounds like something I would do.
It does sound like something we would do.
It does. I'd be like, hey, Layla, let's go look for melon heads.
And I'd be like, okay. Sure, yeah, let me grab my stash. I'm there. Because I'm an idiot.
How bad could it be?
How bad could it be? What kind of trouble could we get into? We'll be fine. Okay, what happened to these girls?
The girls parked the car. They get to the area where the melon heads are supposedly at, park the car, leave their headlights on, and go into the woods. So they walk a couple hundred feet and they hear their car doors slam.
What?
What the hell?
Oh, no.
Then the engine started and the car headed towards them and they could they could see figures inside the size of children, but with large heads, rags for clothes, and an orange glow in their eyes.
Well, first of all, why would you leave your keys in your car?
Because you're freaking teenage girls driving to look for melon heads. I don't know.
And well, maybe the melon heads hotwired the car. Maybe they know how to hotwire stuff. Could be.
So apparently they slaughter the girls.
No. They didn't just take the car for a joyride. No.
They actually found shredded pieces of clothing and bones.
No, Chelle. Oh, no. Ew.
And people believe that to this day that those melon heads still drive around in the girl's car.
In their car? Oh, that's sad. Oh, that sucks. Oh, they're crappy melon heads. Ew.
People have heard voices in the woods. They've seen people have made like straw figures and made it look like masks. And it looks like there's like these straw figures lurking in the underbrush. It almost seems not necessarily like a cryptoid, but like you said, like Lord of the Flies community. But again, they're in like 3 different states. It's not just confined to Connecticut.
Right. It does. It almost sounds, less cryptid and more a cryptid's a paranormal thing. That's right. A creature that we don't understand. This almost sounds like
maybe deformed or mutated humans.
Yeah. Like maybe a pocket of people who have just inbred so much over the generations, possibly already started out with mental illness and with problems. This just sounds terrible if it's true.
They eat people.
It's awful.
They eat people. That's all I got to say is they eat people.
Ugh.
Now, a number of Connecticut-based legends around the melon heads have one characteristic in common: a secluded, rustic, or single lane, usually dirt road running through wooded territory. Fairfield County is kind of where a bunch of these are, and New Haven County. So a lot of the sightings kind of are between Fairfield County and New Haven County.
So kind of a limited area. I mean, that almost lends credence a little bit to it being possibly a pocket of people, a group of people.
Well, that's one part. That's one part of Connecticut, though, that's rural and forested, and have a lot of rural roads running through 'em, a lot of dirt roads.
Right. Or it could be, some form of cryptid that is just in that small area. And,
Right.
maybe that's what happened to the people that escaped or the kids that escaped from the hospitals. Maybe those cryptids in that area kind of pulled them in and ate them or brought them into their community or something, maybe. I don't know.
A lot of the towns that claim to have these melon heads near their town, such as Oxford, Milford, Fairfield, New Haven, Southbury, Stratford, the roads that these creatures or what have you tend to be near, they call them Dracula Drive.
Dracula Drive.
Because basically they're going to come and suck your blood and eat you and off you go.
Ew, because they're cannibals.
Yeah. It basically, some legends claim that the melon heads would either bite or consume whoever enters their territory. So it's kind of like a territory thing, almost like if you step on my property, I might eat you.
A lot of these cryptids do seem to be territorial. They do seem to only attack you if you kind of enter into their domain.
Yeah.
So of course, what's Chelle gonna want to do?
Let's go to Connecticut and look for melon heads, man.
Chelle wants to trespass on a cryptid. I know it.
I do. But the thing is that this, I'm not so sure, when you kind of delve into it a little more, when you're online and you're looking up like different cryptids and stuff around, this does pop up. I'm not so sure it's a cryptid. I'm skeptical. I do think that it could be potentially pockets of mutated humans, and for whatever reason they're mutated is neither here nor there. But if there's a pocket in Michigan and a pocket in Ohio and a pocket in Connecticut, I think this may tend to be more mutated humans and not necessarily a paranormal creature. Like, I don't think this is a Bigfoot or whatever the hell is going on in Amarillo, Texas right now, or Chupacabra or any of those. I think this is something a little different that is basically being accused of being a cryptid.
I see. Yeah, I don't know. Do you think the three pockets are related to each other?
I mean, Michigan and Ohio are relatively close together. Connecticut isn't as close. I could see a geographic connection if they were closer together.
Right.
But I just don't, I don't know. I don't know.
That sounds pretty creepy. Like, what if you're camping in the woods and you just happen to like come across their territory and you didn't know that this was melon head territory, and now you're there.
And you're dead.
And then you're dead.
And then you're dead.
And you had no idea.
Do the police really just sit there and say, oh yeah, the melon heads probably got them? Is that a thing? Like, are they actually allowed to do that?
I don't think so. I hope not. I really don't. I mean, if there's gnawed bones and barbecue sauce and like a pot right there, and the person's clothes are part of some sort of stew, I guess, then you could say, yeah, sure, melon heads got them because here's evidence that they were eaten. But without that, I don't think you can say melon heads. There's not enough evidence. Lawyer Laylla says no.
Yeah, and even though they found the shredded clothes and the bones, when you're talking about a wooded area like that, that could be coyotes. That could be, that could be a lot of things.
That's true. You did say that they found the girls' clothes and bones, but not their car.
Because apparently the melon heads are driving a 1980s freaking Ford Granada.
But when you're talking cannibals and then you find gnawed bones and shredded clothing, that does kind of give a little bit of evidence that maybe some sort of, I don't know, maybe not a melon head or maybe not a cryptid, but something ate those poor kids.
If you've encountered a melon head, please email us. We want to know.
We'd love a picture.
Right? So just another interesting tale. Don't go alone on dirt roads in the forest. Apparently, don't stop your car. Don't get out of your car. You could be melon head food.
If someone tells you you're on a Dracula road or a Melon Head road, don't stop.
Correct. Correct.
Not a good place to go camping.
I'm not saying it's safe, but I'm also not saying it's paranormal.
Okay, so we'll put this one in the bin of definitely not safe and certainly spooky. We just don't know why.
And partially true crime, I think.
Little true crime, little cryptid. Hey, story's got it all. Certainly spooky. I mean, those poor kids.
It's definitely intriguing.
Yeah, with all the history around it. And since it's like in 3 little pockets, who knew?
I know, right?
Now, I've got a story for you.
About what?
This is about a hotel, but it was also at one time a hospital.
Ooh, you don't like those.
I don't. This one was a cancer hospital, actually, where they said that they would cure you in 6 weeks without surgery.
Oh, God. When was this?
In the 1930s.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so this is called the Crescent Hotel. So this is the most haunted hotel in America.
Really? Because I feel like a lot of places say that.
I feel like we might have said that before.
Right?
This is yet another America's most haunted hotel. And it has a gateway to hell.
Can I tell you a funny story?
Please do.
Here in Massachusetts, everybody likes roast beef. I don't know. I'm from New York. I don't know. Roast beef ain't a thing really in New York. But here, roast beef stands everywhere. And do you know they all say world famous? I'm like, how the hell can you all be world famous? Are you all world famous? Basically, this is kind of like roast beef in Massachusetts.
There you go. Every single hotel
Most
is
haunted.
Massachusetts roast beef, the most haunted.
Correct.
That's right. So most roast beef of hotels. So the Crescent Hotel is the most haunted. It's in Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
I've never even heard of it.
What? It's the most haunted, Chelle. It is the most haunted hotel in America.
Stephen King didn't even do a movie on it.
You're not shit if Stephen King didn't do a movie on you.
Right?
However, this hotel was built in 1886 and it was built originally as a hotel and it failed.
I shouldn't laugh.
I don't know if you ever heard of Eureka Springs in Arkansas, but the water here, the spring water here is supposed to be very healing. From the time of the Native Americans up through now, the place is purported to be magical. It's supposed to be a very healing place, and the waters themselves are supposed to have healing properties.
Ooh, I want to go.
Sounds nice, right? I love it.
It does.
A hippie town and everything.
I feel like I'm going to die if I go there, though.
Well, you would have if you'd had cancer and you went to the hotel back in the 1930s. But before that, it was a hotel and then it failed. It's beautiful. It's like big Gothic hotel, but I guess maybe they built it too big or something and they couldn't take care of it. And after just a few short years, they didn't have enough money to keep it going. After a few short years, they just didn't have enough money to keep it going and it fell into disrepair. Then it was bought up by a girls' school. Oh, and as it was being built, there was tragedy. As this huge hotel is being built, an Irish workman named Michael, a bricklayer, fell to his death.
Oh.
And landed on the second floor where room 218 is now. And he is one of the ghosts that haunts this most haunted hotel in America.
Ooh.
People will often say that they see a young man in overalls with red hair walking around. Looks like a workman, and that's Michael. So after it was built, like I said, it became a hotel and it didn't last for very long. And then it became a girls' school. And there are some rumors about this girls' school that it wasn't a very nice place. There is a ghost. I couldn't prove that this actually happened, but the rumor is that a young woman committed suicide by jumping off one of the towers. And she was possibly, according to one story, she was pregnant, or she had been found to have a boyfriend and be sexually active. And the shame of all of it was too much. And she leapt to her death. And people will report seeing her usually on foggy nights, usually right around 10:30 p.m. And they'll often report hearing her scream as she falls.
Oh.
So the hotel just did not have a good history. After it was a girls' school, I guess it was a women's college for a short period of time. And then it completely fell into disrepair. Around this same time, a man named Norman Baker was making a fortune for himself he started out as a machinist, but he was so good looking and so well spoken that he quickly became he did hypnosis and did shows.
Like a psychic entertainer.
He was a very flamboyant dude. He came from a wealthy family. His father was a machinist. That was kind of boring for him, and he became a hypnotist.
Which was kind of the thing back then.
It was, and he was very, very well spoken. He had like a vaudeville show. He saw a traveling mentalist when he was a teenager, and that completely changed his life. And that's when he joined a troupe of other performers and became an illusionist and a hypnotist. So after being a hypnotist for a while, he joined a vaudeville show and married another performer. He then made a fortune, I guess, being an inventor. He invented some sort of musical thing, like some type of calliope thing. Calliophone, I guess it was called.
Oh.
And made over like $200,000 back in the early 1900s, which is
that
like
a lot?
Yeah, it's over $3 million today.
Oh, I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. He had a lot of money. So in the 20s, when radio started to become a big thing, he decided he wanted to do that too. And so he made a deal with the town, and he got this station, KTNT, Know the Naked Truth. And he made himself famous because he said he was going to appeal to the common man, to the every person, to the farmer. Even though he himself is super rich and super flamboyant. I mean, he loved the color lavender, and he would often wear purple suits or lavender shirts. His car, he had like a hand hammered Bentley or something, and it was purple.
Oh.
And he would, drive around in this and just be completely flashy.
That sounds kind of cool, though. He just liked to wear light colored clothes.
Light colored purple clothes. Norman Baker, Mr. I Love Lavender, decides that he is going to have this radio station and he's going to just tell the truth. But really his version of the truth is people he hates, what he doesn't like, what he wants to bitch about for that day. And he was one of the original radio shock jocks, I guess.
Kind of like our podcast.
A little bit, I guess. He was supposed to only broadcast at like a certain wattage, but he would usually double that. And they would wait, and if the FCC people were coming around, he'd dial it back. So because of doubling his power, he had like a huge, enormous reach, and people loved this show. By some accounts, tens of thousands of people would listen to his show on the regular.
Oh, wow.
And he loved conspiracy theories. He would just go on and on. Having been in vaudeville, having an illusionist, a mentalist, he could talk to people. He knew how to talk.
He knew how to work a crowd.
So he made a lot of money spouting his version of conspiracy theories and bullshit about people that he didn't like. He even thought that the government was out to get him. He was one of the original anti-vaxxers. And there was a thing called the cow war. I guess tuberculosis in cows was a big thing at one point.
Oh.
Through his radio show, he got people so worked up. He said that the government was trying to steal their cows. And so they weren't really testing for TB in the cows. They were just faking it. And they were going to tell them that they had TB so that they can steal these perfectly healthy cows from people.
What?
He had so many people believing this that they would literally run the veterinarians out of town and wouldn't let them test their cows. So this caused like the cow wars, and the tuberculosis in the cows was running rampant because everyone listened to this guy.
That's just weird.
He was very, very persuasive. By all accounts, he was kind of racist. He was anti-Semitic. He was very fiery and a little bit of an alcoholic. But he was very, very much against any medical advice and the government. However, he did get to be friends with Herbert Hoover, and apparently was so much of an influence that he helped Herbert Hoover win the Midwest.
That's weird.
President Hoover even did a publicity stunt for this guy's tabloid paper, the Midwest Free Press.
Oh, wow.
A sitting president. So he had a lot of influence with this radio show. Very rich guy, but of course he railed against rich people and big government and everything, even as he's driving around in his lavender car with his diamond jewelry and his lavender suits.
What year is this, roughly?
This is in the 20s.
Wow.
1920s. So this cow war,
Mer.
right? It was only it was only finally stopped when the governor sent in the state militia to allow these cows to be tested for TB.
Oh my God.
One of his big rants was that the government had the cure for cancer and they weren't letting it out because they made too much money with the so-called cures of the day, the radiation treatments and surgeries.
I could see it.
Now, he had dropped out of school in 10th grade. He met a doctor. Actually, in 1929, he met a fake doctor, Dr. Ozias, in Kansas City, Missouri.
Uh-huh.
Now, this fake doctor was one of those snake oil salesmen, and he had his own special blend of snake oil that he said would heal people of pretty much anything, much like, quacks did at the time.
Right.
Now, he decides, along with this doctor, that, hey, I'm a self-taught healer and I can cure cancer. And this elixir that you have with my special ingredient, carbolic acid.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Will cure people of cancer. Now, carbolic acid is, and I quote from cancer.gov, says carbolic acid is a very poisonous chemical substance made from tar and also found in some plants and essential oils. It is used to make plastics, nylon, epoxy, medicines, and to kill germs, also called phenol. So the first part there says a very poisonous chemical substance.
Why would you do that?
And that was Norman Baker's secret ingredient to Dr. Ozias's snake oil. And this snake oil called Formula 5 or something, I guess, had corn silk, clover, ground watermelon seeds, water, and then glycerin, and now carbolic acid.
Oh, wow.
They decided they were going to cure 5 people with this mixture who promptly died, but they then told everyone that they lived and that their cancer was cured. He would do shows where, have you ever seen like fake faith healers? They do all that thing where they pull stuff out of the body without leaving any incisions in the body. Now, some of that might be real. I don't know. But I know a lot of them, especially at this time, was absolutely fake. And he was a very good illusionist. And he could make it look like he was pulling all sorts of sick, nasty things out of people's bodies and quote unquote curing them. So he kind of gained a following and he used his radio show to push this. But the American Medical Association was on him. And he would do things like have shows where he and this Dr. Ozias would cut people's skulls open.
Oh.
On stage in front of people.
The hell's the matter with them?
I don't know. He decided he was curing cancer, I guess, even though everyone died. Stupid or serial killer? I don't know.
Yikes.
So he opened a clinic and began curing people with any ailment, pretty much.
And people were believing him?
People believed him. He would only charge $10. I say only. That was a lot of money at the time.
Yeah.
Thousands of people heard his show and got his newsletter, and they would come from all over the place to be cured because, again, he was such a good talker. He could tell people anything and they would buy it. They wanted to believe what he said. And he would use his radio show to say that, like when the Medical Association would try to shut him down for quackery, he would use his radio show to say that they were persecuting him and they were sending assassins after him and that it was all lies and viciousness and they just hated him, that they were his enemies. He even said, this one article on medium.com says that Baker said on his radio show that the American Medical Association had sent assassins to kill him. And the only reason they didn't succeed is one of the assassins recognized him from when Norman Baker had supposedly cured this assassin's friend. And so the assassin couldn't go through with it and called off the assassination.
That's crazy.
Absolutely. He spouted lies and people ate them up. They loved it.
But back then though, people were really wanting mediums to be true and psychics to be true and tarot. I don't want to say tarot and hypnosis and psychics and mediums were kind of becoming mainstream, but kinda.
Yeah, it was pretty popular then.
Right. A lot of the parlor readings and all of that were happening back then. And people just wanted some sort of hope and outlook and connection with lost loved ones and whatever.
And there were a lot of charlatans that took advantage of that at that time.
But they put their whole heart into these people. And so, and with this guy having a radio show, they could sit in their living room and listen.
That gives a lot of authority. You have a radio show with that big of a following, especially with someone who's such a good talker. And that lends a type of authority. And he
Right.
definitely relied on that. He did get run out of town from this, his fake clinic, and he ran away to Mexico. And he blasted his radio station even more powerfully from a border town in Mexico.
Nice.
He tried a couple times to run for office, and that didn't work. And so he decided at that time, he figured, you know what, I'll just go to a different state and start over. No one will know. So he decided he wanted to do another clinic, and he looked around for a state where he wouldn't be so well known and that maybe already had a reputation for being healthy. Eureka Springs, Arkansas, that had this whole, healthy water thing going for it. So he goes and he buys the rundown Crescent Hotel and fixes it up and calls it a cancer clinic.
Oh, Jesus.
And he still has his Formula 5, which is, the crushed watermelon seeds, the carbolic acid, basically nothing. His magic elixir. And that's really all he gives them. He has like 2 formulas of snake oil, and he just injects everyone who comes to his cancer clinic with it. And of course, he is blasting it on the radio waves. Thousands of people from 1937 on come to Eureka Springs, to the Crescent Hotel, and are injected with his snake oil several times a day.
And killed, essentially, I would imagine.
Pretty much. Now, people were promised that they would be cured of their cancer in 3 to 6 weeks with no surgery. We cut out no organs. They have posters and even video of some of his advertisements still exist.
He's just gonna poison you. No surgery, you'll just get poisoned.
Pretty much. He doesn't tell them that. He says that if you don't get cured, you can come back and have free of charge treatment. You just have to pay for your room and board.
You just have to live long enough.
This is during the Depression, and people are poor, people are sick, and he's all flashy. He paints a lot of the rooms in this hotel. Guess what color? Purple, because it's his favorite, and he decides that that's a healthy color. He takes these people in, and again, he's promising to cure them of their cancer. And of course, it's not working. So as people are getting sicker, he has this whole one wing of the hotel built with like a reinforced door. And he would just put them all there and kind of leave them.
Oh, shit.
To drown out the screams of the dying, he would play music really loudly in the rest of the hotel.
Oh, shit.
And they would tell the other people that they had been cured. Nobody ever left died. He would tell the people that were there that they had all been cured. And so the orderlies would take these people out in the middle of the night, like 3, 4 a.m. They'd be wheeling the dead bodies out all covered. Then sometimes they would go down to the morgue where reportedly he would do experiments on them or cut them up and then keep their body parts in a freezer.
Frankenstein.
Yeah. This guy made over $10 million.
Oh my God.
Promising that he was going to cure them of their cancer in 6 weeks, when really all they got was injected with poison day or night and then left in a ward to die. So for 2 years, this went on until it was finally shut down. And he didn't even get shut down because of operating without a medical license or anything like that. It was because mail fraud. He got caught for wire fraud because he had mailed these advertisements to people saying that he would cure them of their cancer. And because that was a lie, that's what they got him on.
Are you serious? They didn't get him on any murder charges or nothing? It was freaking mail fraud?
No, I mean, dozens of people died there. And I mean, come on, that sounds like serial killer stuff to me. He injected these people or had them injected with poison. He killed these people. So I don't know. I have a hard time thinking that just ignorance did that. This is someone who had a 10th grade education, who felt that the government was hiding a cure for cancer, who made one up with some other quack and then tortured people with it for 2 years and was brought down on mail fraud. I don't know.
I think the takeaway here is never mess with the U.S. Postal Service because they will take you down. Like, for real. The mailman, he's like above all, king.
So yeah, don't mess with the USPS.
Exactly.
So for this mail fraud, Norman Baker served 4 years in Leavenworth prison. When he got out, he retired to Florida, and he lived there until he died of cirrhosis of the liver and cancer in 1958.
Karma.
Right? The hotel then went back into disrepair. It was a hotel again for a little while. I guess in the 90s, it was bought by a couple, and they kind of embraced the whole haunted side of it because it had quite the reputation for people seeing all sorts of different ghosts. Michael, the stonemason that fell to his death into room 218, is often seen. And people would also see someone known as Theodora. She lived in room 419. And I've heard 3 different stories for Theodora. So this couple that purchased the hotel in the 90s, they had a couple psychic mediums come in, just kind of take a look and see what was going on. And they found a ton of activity. There are children there. There are men there. There are women there. There are Victorian people from the time it was originally built. And unfortunately, a lot of the cancer patients never left. And even some of the orderlies and the nurses, people who found out afterwards that what they were doing wasn't helping anyone, it was killing people, a lot of their spirits are still there as well.
So it's a pretty active location.
A very active location. And one of the psychic mediums, a gentleman named Carol Heath, he felt he had discovered a portal to the other side, or a portal to hell, in a location kind of in an entryway annex of the Crescent Hotel that just happens to be a few floors above where the morgue and the cold storage was when Norman Baker was using it as a cancer treatment center. So in the 90s, they bought it, and then they started having ghost tours. In the early 2000s, one of their tour guides reported to them that he was having a lot of trouble with guests on the tour getting very pale and faint, and some of them even fainting, all in the exact same spot.
Oh.
When the owner asked him where it was happening, the tour guide took him to this spot, and it happened to be the exact same spot where Carol Heath had said was a portal to the other side, and that people on the same frequency could feel it. And it was only happening in that location in the hotel and on the tour, no other location.
Interesting.
Now, there have been a lot of other paranormal experiences. There are a ton of orb sightings. People will show, there's a lot of photographs on their website where you can see different streaks or what looks like shadows or ghosts of people. And room 419, I mentioned Theodora. She is a woman. There's, again, 3 different accounts of this woman, Theodora, but everyone says that they see an old woman often fumbling with her keys around room 419. She also doesn't like it when people argue. She gets very upset and will slam doors, and lights will flicker on and off. And she doesn't like messes. She will pick up and straighten rooms. And a few people that stayed there during COVID reported that there was no housekeeping allowed for COVID restrictions. Housekeeping would only happen after you left the room, but they would come back to the rooms to find them straightened up, even though they knew that no housekeeping had been there. And Theodora, so the 3 different stories are, the one I heard most often was that she was a friend of Norman Baker's, possibly a nurse or someone who did nursing type activities, and thought that she was helping people. And that as time went on, she realized that what they were doing was actually killing people. And she got more and more stressed and more upset. And as PTSD set in, she supposedly got more concerned with cleanliness and was constantly straightening things up, and was very, very concerned with keeping things clean as she got more stressed about what was going on in the hotel. All 3 accounts say that she passed away in the hotel. The second account is that she was a housekeeper from prior to when it was a cancer treatment place, and that she died in the hotel, and she likes to keep things tidy because she was a housekeeper there. The third story is that she introduces herself to people as a cancer patient of Dr. Baker's. And then after people say, "Nice to meet you," she vanishes.
Oh.
So I don't know which of those stories is true, but they all involve a woman named Theodora, and usually people see her as an older woman fumbling with keys around room 419. And she likes to keep it straight. There's a lot of artifacts still in the hotel, like the autopsy table, the walk-in cooler, where Norman Baker would keep body parts and would do some of his, what they think might have been experiments. And some of the ghost activity centers around the morgue. People will report seeing children, ghostly children in the morgue, asking for help. They'll also very often see what looks like an orderly or someone pushing white covered tables, or white, what could possibly be bodies on trays, or what do they call those? Like trolleys, like
I know what you're talking. Gurneys.
gurneys. They see what look like orderlies pushing gurneys down the hallways late at night. There's a ton of ghost hunting activities that goes on there because you can get your EMF readings. They have, EVPs that happen all over. I guess it's been on 15 different television programs.
Oh, wow.
And Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures.
Oh.
And what is it? Sci-Fi does Ghost Hunters. So those are two of the big ones, but it's been on a lot of those and they have seen a ton of activity here. But, with someone like Norman Baker, just kind of some fast talking con man, just injecting people with poison, there's bound to be a lot of ghostly activity there, I think.
Yeah. Like that's just weird.
So is that a place you'd go to with a Ouija board, Chelle?
Yeah.
Of course you would. Of course you would.
Why lie? I absolutely would. I would.
You would. And I would go with you.
I'd be like, hey, I got a great idea.
I would definitely go with you.
You'd come.
You absolutely know I would. Of course I would. I would so be there.
Of course you would.
I'd even put my fingers on the planchette. Because I'm an idiot.
You would. You would.
I would.
That's just kind of weird because I feel like that's just a lot for one property.
It is. It's so much.
I just feel like there's a lot for one property.
Well, it's a really big hotel and it's had a lot of, it's been a hotel, it's been a girls' school, it's been a women's college, it's been a fake cancer curing center, and now it's a hotel / paranormal event center.
Paranormal event center. It's interesting that all the things people got away with back then, claiming in the medical interests of people, but yet some sick shit went on, like not just there, but a lot of these like asylums and inebriation, mental hospital institution type places.
Yeah, in the early 1900s, it seems like all these places that were reportedly supposed to help people were pretty scary, shitty places.
They were definitely preying on people, and people get scared of stuff and they were preying on that, I feel like.
Yeah, it was a pretty scary time. I mean, World War II had ended, it was the Depression, and
yeah.
But it was a really shitty time. It was hard for people, and so they were looking for hope anywhere they could get it, I guess, and they were easy prey for charlatans.
Right. And there was a lot of it going on, and there was a lot of money to be made if you were that type of person.
And he made so much money just basically lying to people and telling them what they wanted to hear while being exactly what he said
he wasn't.
Yeah, being exactly what he said was the problem. And it's just weird to me that people couldn't see that. I mean, he drove around in his flashy car, wearing his flashy jewelry and his lavender suits, railing against, rich people in the establishment, and they ate it up.
You will only see what you want to see.
I guess that's true in a lot of things.
Yes. And these people wanted to see something that I guess in their minds they saw.
I don't know. I guess they did. A lot of these ghosts, people say, seem to be kind of interactive. And maybe it's because they died in such a horrific way. I don't know. But a lot of times they'll talk to you. There's a ghost of a gentleman in the bar. It supposedly will tell people that he's waiting. There was a woman that he met there and he's waiting for her.
Uh-huh.
Theodora will introduce herself. And some of the ghosts will ask for help, so it's interesting to me that, maybe it's because of the desperation that these people had, or the hope that they were looking for, that they seem to be, as spirits, they seem to be more interested in communicating. Maybe that's because of their desperate circumstances. I don't know.
It could be. I don't know.
But you can go there and they have lots of ghost tours.
I love it. So is this like Hotel California? You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave?
I certainly hope not, because a lot of people, they do kind of say that. A lot of people have checked in and not ever checked out. But
well, you kept saying that, so that's why I was like, Hotel California, Jesus.
Oh, and I forgot to tell you, just recently, I guess it was in the last couple of years, they unearthed the dump site, like the garbage site
Uh-huh.
from when it was the cancer hospital.
Oh, geez.
Apparently, when the feds like raided the place before he went on trial, they emptied out everything and kind of threw it away. And the rumor was it had all been taken to the dump. And I guess what they meant by the dump was the dump on the property. So when somebody was kind of digging for a garden, they found all these glass jars and stopped digging. And so they brought in some, archaeologists and forensic people, and they found some intact jars, medicine jars from when it was the cancer hospital with his crappy snake oil in it. So they can test it and see what was in it. And they also have some specimen jars because he would show people like little floating blobs of stuff that he says was cancer that he had magically taken out of people.
What did they find it to be?
I believe they're testing it, and I have not seen any results yet, even though this happened in 2019, but I'm still looking. So we'll see. I think this year, or might have been last year, they had a seance, an event where they had psychics come in, and they were going to actually try to contact the people that the stuff in the jars had been taken from.
Oh.
And they were going to do, so they had you could buy tickets to go to that event. So I know they have all sorts of different events at this hotel.
Oh.
So you can go to the creepy Crescent Hotel where Norman Baker, the quack doctor.
Every time you say that, I think you're going to say Norman Bates.
Kind of is like Norman Bates. I think he was a serial killer. I don't think this is just a case of a greedy dumb fuck. I think this is a legit serial killer.
Wow.
How could you not be? Like, how could you, for 2 years? And prior to that, he had the other clinic where he was fake curing people that ended up dying. For 2 years, he ran this hotel clinic where he said he was curing people of cancer. All he ever gave them were these 2 slightly different mixtures of poison. I mean, how is that not a serial killer?
Like those sick people that they're not just like hack them up kind of people. They're more like inject them with poison and watch them slowly die kind of murderers.
Yeah, like the Nurse Ratched kind of thing,
Yeah. Yikes.
So twisted. Yikes.
We both had kind of weird stories. Mine is more like weird humans. Yours is like some serial killer / wannabe doctor with a 10th grade education.
So creepy. So he's like, hey, the government's got a cure for cancer, but I'm going to make shit up and give it to you. I don't know. Whatever.
The worst part is people bought into it.
People bought into it. People, and it's sad to prey on people who just want a little bit of hope. That's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really what it is. It's people preying on people that are just not in a good space.
Yeah, that's not fun at all.
That makes me want to smoke more.
Me too. I'm gonna hit some more of this Bacchio gelato because it's delicious.
And end game is the end of all games.
I do love that name. You've often said that you want to be the person who names all the weed.
I do.
And I think you'd do a good job of it.
I think I would.
We should, the next time I have some sort of weed that doesn't have a name, I'm going to have to show it to you. Oh, I should have some straw nana ready to smoke.
Oh my God. So listeners, go back a few episodes, like I don't know how many, but the straw nana stuff, awesome. Laylla bought seeds based on my recommendation. She's growing that shit right now. And oh my God, I just pray to the gods that it's as good as the shit I was smoking.
Oh, me too. I cannot wait to taste it. You said it kind of had a hint of that fruity taste and it was excellent high.
How do your plants smell? Do they smell fruity? Or can't you really smell them yet?
No, they're not really smellable yet. Right now, they just smell kind of green and good.
All I got to tell you, people, is Chelle never has a bad idea. This is going to be one of those times. I can feel it.
Me too. Good recommendation by Chelle. What are you going to talk about next week, Chelle? Do you know what your next story to knock my socks off with is?
I don't know. I'm going to have to get some weed and find something spooky to think about.
Ooh, I'm going to get some weed and throw a dart at my list. How does that sound? We'll do it random.
That actually might be what I do. I might try to go a little more spooky this time. Let's see if this next time we can actually try to scare the shit out of each other. That's a good goal. That is a good goal.
I'm always looking for that good goal. So definitely go for that spooktacular, creepy, scary ghost story. All right, I'm down. I'm going to see what I can do.
All right, it's a date. Next week, 4:20 a.m. We are going to strive to scare the bejesuses out of each other while we are high and creeped out like crazy witchy bitches.
Join us next time on the Stoned Witches Hour. See you at 4:20 a.m. Stay spooky.
Stay high.
Thanks for listening to the Stoned Witches Hour with Chelle and Laylla. If you like what you heard, please rate us and consider giving us a review. It really helps the show out, and we'll definitely take a toke of the kindest bud in your honor.